Welcome. This video is going to show you guys how to create a bar graph whenever you have raw data rather than summary data. If you recall, we looked at an example where a physical therapist was interested in the type of injury that caused her patient to need to be in her rehab. So what we want to do is create a bar graph to summarize this information. So first we need to get the information into JMP. We're going to go to File, New, Data Table. And previously when we did this we had summary data. So it would look something like back 20, shoulder 7, telling us the number of each type of injury. However, if we have raw data, what we need to do is in one of these columns we need to type the injuries. So there might be a back, there might be an elbow, and so on. I don't really want to type all 50 of these out right now, so I'm going to copy and paste from another file. But anyway, here are my 50 observations. If you scroll down, there are 50 observations, and then the column corresponds to the body part that was injured. Remember, we want to give our variables appropriate variable names. So if we double click where it says column 1, we can edit that title. We're going to change that to body part. That way we know exactly what that column represents. That's the injured body part. Now, in order to create a graph, we're going to use the graph builder. So go to graph builder. And for a bar chart, which is the goal of this example, we always want the categories on this x-axis. So we're going to drag body part to the x-axis. And then we need to tell JMP what type of software or what type of graph, we want to use. So remember, the graphs are across the top here. If you hover over them, it will tell you the type. So we're going to choose this one that says bar. And now we have a bar graph. Now, a couple of things. First off, if you look on this x-axis, as before, JMP has alphabetized these things. We're not going to worry about that. Remember, we needed a quantitative variable, and we drug it to the x-axis to put them in order. If you look at your data set, we actually don't have a quantitative variable here, so we're just not going to bother with that right now. All right, anyway, back to the graph. The other thing I want to point out to you is whenever you're entering the raw data, you need to be extremely careful. The software cannot be a mind reader, if you will. And if you look at this, I have a neck category and an NECL category in which I must have just mistyped the word neck. So if I actually click on that bar, you will notice that in the data set it highlighted where that came from. So that was observation 19, NECL. Let me go ahead and change that to NECK so it matches the others. And now we're going to go ahead and go back to graph builder, start this process over, where we put our body part on the x-axis, tell JMP what type of graph we want, and now we don't have that mistyped category down here. All right, two last things. First off, we want to label this y-axis with what these things represent. That's generally good practice. In order to do that, if you move your mouse just to the left of your pointer, just to the left of that y-axis, you'll see the grabber hand show up. It's sideways, but if you right-click then, you can go to Add Axis Label. I'm going to type count. You could do frequency. You could do number of patients. Any of these things would be reasonable labels. The final thing we want to do here is get rid of the legend because it doesn't really provide any information. So recall to do that, under Graph Builder, remember our options are hidden under these little red triangles, if you will. If you select that, you will notice that Show Legend is currently checked. So select it again to effectively uncheck it, and now that legend is gone from here, and that's good for us. The final thing we want to do is get this into Microsoft Word for your homework. So what you would do is you would right-click on the background of the graph, choose Edit, and then down to Copy Graph, and now we can go to Word very easily and paste it in there. All right, thank you very much.